FBI search of Trump's home gives rise to civil war threats. Biden not worried about Chinese drills, but concerned about scale. Man who shot Ahmaud Arbery gets life sentence for hate crime. Biontech Pfizer plan to deliver Omicron-Adapted vaccines in October. Hate crimes against Muslims in Canada jump 71%. From Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. On Monday, former U.S. President Donald Trump said his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida was under siege, raided and occupied by the FBI. In a historic first, a court-ordered search of Trump's property to look for possible evidence of a crime is underway. Trump nominated the current head of the FBI, Christopher A. Wray, to lead the agency in 2017 after firing the previous FBI director, James B. Comey. The twice-impeached ex-president was reportedly at Trump Tower in New York City during the raid in Palm Beach. The FBI and U.S. attorneys' offices in Washington, D.C. and for the Southern District of Florida did not immediately respond to requests for comments, Political reports. Spokespeople at the U.S. Department of Justice declined to comment. On Monday, the white man who fatally shot 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery after chasing him in a Georgia neighborhood was sentenced to life in prison. Travis McMichael was convicted of committing a federal hate crime for killing Arbery, who was black. He was sentenced by U.S. District Court Judge Elisa Godby Wood in the port city of Brunswick. McMichael was sentenced earlier this year to life without parole in a Georgia state court for Arbery's murder. He was one of 3 defendants convicted in February of federal hate crime charges. His father, Greg McMichael, and neighbor William Roddy Bryan had sentencing hearings scheduled later Monday. On Sunday, U.S. Senate Democrats passed a pared-down reconciliation package. A pair of widely supported provisions that would have made it harder for Wall Street tycoons to reduce their tax bills were removed at the behest of Senator Sinema. The Arizona Democrat has taken more than $500,000 in campaign contributions from private equity executives during the current election cycle. Last week, Sinema agreed to back the Inflation Reduction Act as long as the carried interest loophole was preserved. That benefits hedge fund managers and private equity moguls. It allows their investment income to be taxed at the long-term capital gains rate of around 20% rather than the top income rate of 37%. A U.S. Food Standards Agency is looking at changing the rules around the sale of meat during a religious festival. Qurbani, or sacrifice of an animal, is a religious practice that takes place during the Eid al-Adha holiday. Some Muslims prefer to collect meat and offal shortly after slaughter, as this signifies the beginning of the festival. Eid al-Adha is a 4-day Islamic holiday, but the exact date varies each year based on the lunar calendar. If products cannot complete the normal chilling processes before leaving the slaughterhouse, there could be greater growth of pathogens. That increases the potential risk of illness. Industry representatives have asked the FSA to look at alternative options for the supply of qurbani meat and offal during Eid al-Adha and the existing rules. The Art of Islam Ritual, Beauty, Pattern exhibit is a collaboration between Westbury Arts and the Islamic Center of Long Island. It is curated by a group from the Islamic Center of Long Island in Westbury. The exhibit illustrates the stylistic, cultural, and historical breadth of Islamic art. The works on display come from home collections of local Muslim families and from modern Muslim artists. They employ various art forms such as calligraphy, paintings, pottery, and metalworks. The display will include the hand-carved ivory replica of the Taj Mahal. The pieces are grouped according to 3 unifying characteristics of Islamic art: ritual, beauty, and pattern. President Biden is not worried about China's drills, but concerned about their scale. Details after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Assalamu alaikum! Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
It's Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
Welcome back. On Monday, President Joe Biden said he is not worried about Chinese military exercises near Taiwan, but expressed measured concern over the scope of the drills. Earlier in the day, China said it is extending the military drills originally planned to conclude on Sunday. The Eastern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army said it will continue drills in waters near Taiwan Island, focusing on anti-submarine and air-to-ship strikes. China has fumed over U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, which occurred last week despite warnings from Beijing. Beijing claims Taiwan as a breakaway province and sees visits to the island by foreign officials and dignitaries as a provocation and a violation of the One China policy. In related news, Somalia backed China on Beijing's rising tensions with Washington after U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's recent visit to Taiwan. Its foreign ministry voiced support for China's sovereignty, political independence, territorial integrity, and national unity. It also lauded its adherence to UN and African Union resolutions. The ministry affirmed support for the One China policy and said Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. Somalia has long-standing relations with China. Both countries cooperate in the political, economic, and development sectors. Somalia's statement came hours after Chinese ambassador to Somalia, Fei Shengchao, welcomed the appointment of new ministers by Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre. On Monday, German biotechnology company Biontech announced that it plans to deliver Omicron-adapted vaccines as soon as October. The Maine-based company manufactures vaccines adapted to the BA1 to BA4 and BA5 variants of Omicron with its American partner, Pfizer. The companies plan to supply both vaccines in time for fall booster campaigns, pending regulatory approval. They are currently evaluating variant-adapted COVID-19 vaccines. Biontech said data from these studies were presented to regulatory agencies in June and July this year. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has advised vaccine manufacturers to develop modified vaccines, adding an Omicron BA4 and BA5 spike protein to the current composition. More than 600 children were subjected to intrusive and traumatic strip searches by the UK's Metropolitan Police over 2 years. Of those, 58% were black, according to a new report from the Children's Commissioner of England. Between 2018 and 2020, police stopped and conducted strip searches on 650 children, with an average of one per day in 2020. The children were as young as 10 years old, and a quarter of the minors searched were 15 years or younger, Commissioner Dame Rachel D'Souza said. More than half of all boys strip searched were black in each of the years that data was provided. In 2018, that figure was 75%. Overall, young black men aged 16 to 17 accounted for 42% of all strip searches. The report also found in most cases the children were found to be innocent. A study released on Tuesday found the number of recorded attacks against Muslims rose from 84 in 2020 to 144 in 2021. The spike followed a decline from the previous year. In 2019, there were a total of 182 reported incidents targeting Muslims. The National Council for Canadian Muslims says the numbers don't tell the whole story, and that the numbers of hate crimes vastly exceed what is seen in the statistics. The rise in attacks in 2021 corresponds with the killing of 4 members of the Afzal family in London, Ontario. The 20-year-old attacker deliberately slammed his pickup truck into the family as they were waiting to cross the road. In the last 10 days, 4 men have died in judicial custody at the Baruipur Central Correctional Home in India. The men, Abdul Rajak, Diaul Laskar, Akbar Khan, and Saeed al-Munsi, had been picked up by the West Bengal police in separate cases in late July. Their families have alleged foul play and raised doubts about the causes of their deaths. They suspect the men were tortured to death. No post-mortem reports are available as yet. Police sources have denied allegations of torture. They are calling the deaths of these men while in police custody at the same facility merely a coincidence. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour, walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for help with food, healthcare, and other resources.
211, how can I help you?
Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211, get connected, get help.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. To discuss the U.S. healthcare bill and its impact on drug prices, let's go to Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid. Over to you, Imam Mujahid.
Thank you, Samana. There is a new act which is being called Inflation Reduction Act, but people are referring to healthcare bill as well as the climate change bill. To discuss all of that with us is Peter Maybarduk. Welcome to Muslim Network TV.
It's excellent to be with you. Thank you.
Peter is leader of Access to Medicine, is director there of Public Citizen Governance Board at Medicine Patent Pool. Tell us, first thing first, what is in this healthcare related information in Inflation Reduction Act?
Well, the most significant item from our perspective is that the U.S. government will begin to negotiate medicine prices on behalf of Medicare, which is the world's largest drug purchaser at more than $100 billion per year. Ever since the creation of the Medicare Part D prescription drug benefit, on which a great many Americans rely, the U.S. government has been a price taker, has had to sort of accept the prices set by the pharmaceutical industry and insurers, and it's led to very expensive prices and quite a bit of treatment rationing across the United States, costing taxpayers a great deal of money. So now, for the first time, the U.S. government will be able to negotiate prices and get a better deal on behalf of all Americans. The benefits are expected to reach a couple $100 billion over 10 years, and then perhaps continue to grow. And it should contribute to a climate of increased medicine affordability in the United States. There's also a copay cap for people, Medicare beneficiaries who use insulin, and an ultimate cost cap for Medicare beneficiaries. So it means generally more affordable healthcare from people that are relying on the U.S. government's health services. And we hope that in the future to be able to develop ways to increase that affordability in the private sector as well.
So it seems like you're happy about this particular act.
Well, we're very happy. It's, to be clear, there are limits. There are steps we're going to have to take in the future. Medicine prices are high because of the monopoly power of the drug industry. Any given company has the ability to set the price of a new medicine without regard to individual affordability or research and development costs. And this act begins to chip away at that, to get toward something that we might consider fair medicine pricing. But there's more that's going to have to be done. We're leaving the patent-based monopolies, the ability for companies to set prices of medicines when they first entered the market, intact under the act. So we're going to save a great deal of money collectively. We'll start making medicine affordable. It's a win for people and for healthcare. It's a defeat for the pharmaceutical industry. And as always, the work continues. More work will have to be done.
Is there any precedent in the United States of government fixing a particular price or trying to negotiate?
Well, the Veterans Administration does it quite successfully. So for the women and men who served in the United States Armed Forces, they benefit from government price negotiation that's helped the VA, the Veterans Administration, achieve lower prices than are available across the rest of the pharmaceutical market for people who've served in the United States military. So that's an excellent example. It's also something the Veteran Administrations has done with a fraction of the resources that are available to Medicare and the United States government as a whole. So there is precedent, successful precedent, and it's the sort of thing that should be able to be only more successful when scaled up and brought to something like Medicare, which is a much larger market.
I have this U.S. Chamber of Commerce statement saying new price controls on pharmaceuticals would significantly reduce private sector investment in new research.
Yeah, I think it's a separate question
for the whole industry.
Yeah, I think it's a separate question, but I'm happy to address it. Yeah, the pharmaceutical industry has long claimed that reduced investments or that lower prices will lead to reduced investment in innovation. There have been studies of this issue. I believe there was a recent study by the Congressional Budget Office that found it. I think the answer was perhaps 10 new medicines over the course of 30 plus years might not reach market. Ultimately, it's a relatively small price to pay for medicine affordability. If you think about it from a perspective of just efficiency of investments, would we rather have the money in our pockets? Would we rather have the money for families to spend on groceries, or do we trust that every additional dollar we give to the pharmaceutical industry is going to be efficiently spent in the top medical research and development that we need? That's not really how it works. A lot of that money goes into marketing. A lot of it goes into Me Too drugs. And there are no disciplines right now, or very few disciplines, to achieve fair pricing whatsoever. So, collectively, if we invest less in innovation, we may get less innovation, but taxpayers invest $40 billion a year in innovation through the National Institutes of Health. As it is, that contributes to the development of almost every new medicine on the market. And we ask very little in return from the pharmaceutical companies that benefit from those public investments. So it is very important to have some basic fair pricing as we continue our public investments in research and development.
So we already, like vaccine development, is thoroughly funded, probably almost all funded by the U.S. government. So are you referring to that the U.S. government continue to subsidize the research in the technologies, medicine and pharmaceutical stuff?
It's one example. For example, the NIH Moderna vaccine, which is the most effective COVID vaccine in the world, was funded almost entirely by U.S. taxpayers and co-invented by federal scientists in a partnership that dates back nearly 10 years at this point. the public, you and I, are always invested, always involved in the development of new medical products. It's not just vaccines. The National Institutes of Health, which is funded by all of our taxpayer dollars, is the world's leading biomedical research institute. Its investments contribute to the development and marketing of almost every new medicine. So we're already paying. We're already investing in innovation. And the question really is, what do we expect in return for that investment? Public agencies invest, federal scientists contribute to the work, and then those technologies, that science that we all invest in, is licensed to pharmaceutical companies so that they can charge monopoly prices, right, with very few constraints. All we're asking them to do is sell medicines at any price they see fit. So what the Inflation Reduction Act begins to do is say, we're not going to let you charge just any price for the inventions that we have all invested in already. We are going to establish some sort of fair pricing regime. We're going to set a fair maximum price so that companies can't just rip us off for the investments that we've already made.
Peter, tell me, how long will it take, say within a month or by the end of this month, this becomes a law? How long it will take before people actually see the benefits of price reduction in medicine?
There will be some inflationary benefit or some anti-inflationary benefit for people enrolled in Medicare quite soon. One of the things that the bill does is limit how much companies can charge year to year, asking them to keep in pace with inflation, at least for prices to Medicare. But I think the bigger issue is that it will take a couple of years to set up the full negotiation system and have those benefits accrue. So price reductions, I believe, are scheduled to come into effect in 2026. Negotiations beginning, I believe it's as soon as the end of next year. So it'll take a little time, but the benefits you see is that at first the government will negotiate prices of 10 drugs, and then another 15 the next year, and another 15 the year after that. So if we look 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we're going to be seeing very significant benefits for everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your time.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
Back to you, Samana.
Thank you. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.